How to visualize and manifest your dreams. This is something I've helped a lot of people do. I'm going to go through and give you 6 specific steps to make it happen. When we can live life on our terms, on a holistic level, taking into account not just our business lives, but also our health, all of our relationships, from friends, family, partners, the world changes. All right, so first off, congratulations for investing some time in figuring out how to visualize and manifest your dreams. It's one of those things that oddly, it's becoming harder and harder. I've worked with a lot of very successful people, and learning how to dream, particularly on an integrated way, like what does amazing look like for their life, is a challenge. So with this, the first step, the very first step when you're starting of the 6 steps, is to assess where you are. And you have to define where you are. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going to go. And an easy way to do that is you can actually go to, you can go to our site. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Go to lifeon-yourterms.com. About halfway down the page, there's a tool called the balance wheel. Go ahead and jump on there. Again, doesn't cost you anything. It takes about 10 minutes, and it's going to give you an exact example of where you are today. This isn't mine, but it's somebody else's, but it shows you this is the result that you're going to get. And this is going to be the basis of where you can start to visualize and then manifest those things. So that first step is assess where we are. We have to define where we are. Now, the second, and this sounds a little silly, but it's really important, is to set a date. Where is it we want to go? What does amazing look like? So if you're just starting with this and you haven't done this for a while, I would encourage thinking about it maybe 12 months, 18 months, maybe 2 years. If you have a definitive thing happening in your life, maybe you're graduating from school, maybe you're going to be out of debt, maybe you have kids that are going to empty nest, who knows what those pieces are. Whatever that is, figure out what is that date and when that's going to happen. Because when you start to put a date on it, things start to become much more real. So the next step then is to go, and once we say, all right, in 12 months and 18 months, what does amazing look like? We have the date, and define where is it we want to go. Now in the past, when I've worked with people, we work on visualization exercises. A lot of times it's like, hey, I want you to visualize what amazing looks like. And people default to money, maybe some travel, maybe a bigger house, something around their stuff, and then their heads kind of explode. And the reality is that ends up being very hollow. However, if you can go through and define what does amazing look like on a holistic, integrated way, and that is where you can use your balance wheel. By going through, excuse me, and looking at each of the 4 quadrants of the balance wheel and listing out 3 to 5 things. And again, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people on this. List out 3 to 5 things on what amazing can look like for the partner, your partners. Just 5 bullet points. You know, we're in love, we're spending time together, we're on the same page, we're communicating, I'm heard, whatever those things are. Just start to list those out. Family. What would amazing look like? I love the prompt, if you knew you couldn't fail. What would amazing look like for each one of those relationships? And just write out 3 to 5 bullet points for each one. Then go through and do it for your health, for your physical, your mental, your spiritual, and start listing those things out. This is what amazing looks like. Then the next step is going to be your professional life, for your environment, your compensation, and your job satisfaction. How much do you love your groove? How much do you love it? And then lastly, your resources, your time, your talent, your treasure. Now for most people, it's the time that is our biggest opportunity because it's an area where very few people feel they have enough time. How do we manage that in a better way? So first step, making sure that you go through and assess and define where you're starting from. Second step, put a date on it. Third, go through and what does amazing look like for each one of those segments. What you're doing now is you're actually recruiting, you're going to recruit your subconscious to help you start empowering those things to happen. So we have this visualization where we want to go. All right, great. Now the next step then is how do we start figuring out how we're going to achieve it? And this is one that sometimes people get flustered with, sometimes they get overwhelmed with. I'm encouraging you not to. The simple fact that you've put a date on it and you've written it down, it's already going to start to happen. But if you list those things out, the next step is going to be listing everything out that it's going to take. So if it's, I want to be healthier, okay, well then I need to figure out how to lose weight, I need to exercise more, I need to, maybe I need to find a coach, maybe I need to, who knows what it is, but you can start listing all those things out. And I've seen people do this on whiteboards. I've seen people do this with Post-it notes and just list everything out on a Post-it note. There's a purpose with that. Just list all that out. And then once you have those all listed out, you're like, oh my God, your head kind of explodes. There's so much there. But the reality is there's going to be a lot of crossover on certain things. Well, maybe I need to manage my time a little better. Maybe I need to be sleeping a little bit better. Maybe I need to be, investing and being more intentional with my time. But what you can do is if you have 50 things on Post-it notes, start grouping those things that are like type of things together. And this is how I've worked with strategic planning. I've done strategic planning with leadership teams for almost 30 years. So helping people come together, because realizing that all those things that are up there, they're more symptoms, they're steps, they're little bitty pieces. So how can we group all those together and say, wow, here's 9 things around financial that I need to figure out. Okay, good. Then here's 8 things around health. Okay, great. Here's 7 things around education so I can get stronger with this. Or here's something around planning and travel. But you'll have these themes. And they're actually going to be basically your goals within those themes or the goals. But then the step then is to start looking at what are the very first steps. So the first thing there is once you start listing all these out, you group them together. And then what is the first thing with those that you have to do? Almost always there's a linchpin. We've got to get this taken care of first. And what that does is it gets you started. And it gets you started on your journey. Now you've visualized where you're going and you know what success looks like. Now it's a matter of building the mechanics. And then lastly is taking all of those components and building that down and really building a clear action plan so that you can make that happen. Now I kind of went through this at light speed. This is something that I do public speaking on, and we do courses, and we have a full virtual course at Life on Your Terms, lifeon-yourterms.com. But ideally you found some value with this, and if you have any questions, please don't be afraid of reaching out. And thank you very much for investing the time. Keep smiling.